Hey guys, if you're past the beginner stage, you might not be hanging pieces anymore, but you might be hitting a wall. That 400, 1600, or 1800 ELO barrier. The difference between a good player and a great one isn't tactics, it's strategy. It's positional play. In this video, we're dissecting the 7 most common strategic mistakes that sabotage promising positions in the mid-game. Ready to stop playing random moves and start playing with a purpose? Let's dive into these advanced fixes. Okay, mistake number 1, accepting permanent weaknesses. Okay, unnecessarily creating a backwards pawn or an isolated queen's pawn gives your opponent a long-term target. Okay, a backwards pawn is an anchor for your opponent's pieces, and it can't be defended by other pawns. This is a weakness you carry until the end game. Okay, for example, in this position here, okay, black might think c5 is a good move. Attack the queen, get a pawn out, it's defended by the bishop. Okay, but look at the square right in front of the queen. Okay, d6. That can no longer be defended by a pawn anymore. Okay, and it's going to be an anchor where white can plant pieces. Okay, so there's really no reason for black to play c5, and there's a good reason for him not to. Is don't create that backwards pawn. Okay, so for those of you who don't know, a backwards pawn is one that can't be defended by its own pawns anymore. So this pawn here in front of the queen is backwards, and it's a great for the other team to plant pawns or pieces there because they can't be attacked by other pawns. Okay, so basically the simple fix for this one is just before playing a pawn move result, ask yourself, what is the resulting pawn structure? Mistake number 2 is bad minor piece trades. Okay, an intermediate player trades just to simply trade. A master trades to improve their position. You must evaluate the piece's role. Is it attacking, defending, blocked? Okay, so only trade a good piece for a good piece if it leads to a clear tactical gain. Otherwise, try to trade your bad pieces for your good pieces. Okay, a simple example would be like something where you've got your bishop here, and let's just say black does this, okay? White's bishop is very strong here, it's developed, okay? And black's knight is very weak, okay? So obviously a terrible move would be bishop takes knight. So obviously you know that, okay? But there's lots of positions, okay, where someone will just be like, I don't really know what to do. Let's just trade this bishop for this knight. Don't do that. Ask yourself, what what would what does my opponent want me to do? Does he want me to keep my bishop there, or does he want me to trade it for my knight? And if you can tell yourself he probably wants me to trade it, well then don't trade it. Okay? You have to protect your active pieces. Don't trade an active piece for a bad piece. That will cost you games. Okay, mistake number 3. I'm not going to show this one on the board because it's simple to visualize. It's tunnel vision, ignoring the other side. Okay? Focusing 100% on a kingside attack while neglecting the queenside or center is a massive mistake, but one that plenty of intermediate players do, and I used to do all the time. You're thinking, I'm pushing my pawns up the board, I'm attacking his king, I'm going to sacrifice my knight, get my queen in there, checkmate, and you're thinking he's attacking on the other side, there's at least 50% chance that he's going to get there first. Okay? So you need to be actively watching the other side, okay? And don't think, well, it doesn't matter if he's going to get that first. I don't need to focus on it. If he does, he does. If he doesn't, he doesn't. Because oftentimes, you can have a good attack, and you can just take one move and play a defending move, stopping his attack, and then go back to your attack, okay? Mistake number 4, okay, is the premature opening of the center, okay? Playing a pawn break when you're not ready for it is one of the worst mistakes you can make as an intermediate chess player, okay? Remember, if you make a tactical pawn move in the center, that means a tactical battle is going to follow. In this position here, okay, a move like d4 for white, okay, is not very strong, okay? Technically, it's not a pawn break, but we're using it for an example, okay? Because black has plenty of pawn moves to push back with, and white is still has his king open in the middle. So something like d4, even rook e8. Okay, now you're getting attacked, okay, and you don't have this d pawn to defend with anymore. In a position like this, simply castle away your king, okay? Mistake number 5 is poor anticipation, okay? Only thinking about your own plan instead of thinking, what is my opponent trying to do, okay? If your opponent, let's say in this example here, white plays c3, okay? An advanced player would think, okay, he's obviously trying to play d4 next, okay? And he would play something like knight f6 or queen e7 to stop it, okay? Because advanced players always are thinking about what does my opponent want to do, okay? Lower rated players are always thinking, what do I want to do? So if you want to be an advanced player, make that simple switch from what do I want to do to what does my opponent want to do, okay? And then, okay, because an intermediate player here would see something like c3, and maybe they just play something like e6 or something, okay, and then d4 comes. And obviously I know some of you are thinking, yes, I know after c3 play knight f6, okay, but that's because you know this opening. It's not because you have good anticipation, okay? Simple examples include stuff like if you see your opponent wants to move a rook somewhere, you move your rook there to stop him from taking that open file. If he wants to push a pawn, you stop him from pushing that pawn. If he wants to castle, can you stop him from castling? If he wants to attack, how can you stop him from attacking? Okay? Good anticipation is what makes good chess players. Mistake number 6 is a simple one, but it's also one that a lot of players are making, okay, which is ignoring their rooks, okay? Most people forget that the rook is actually the second most powerful piece on the board after the queen, okay? But all they do is play with their pawns, their bishops, and their knights, okay? All you have to do is place them on open files, okay? Connect them or place them on files about to be opened, okay? So if you have a rook on the back rank, say after you've castled, okay? And then you also have a rook that's in the other corner, but it has a knight in front of it. First thing you do is get that knight out of the way so your rooks are connected. Why? Because now your rooks are protected against attacks from other rooks and you can see those open files. So first you connect them, okay? Then you take an open file. If there's no open files available, you ask yourself, what is the next open file going to be, okay? And then you place your rook there in preparation of that open file. That goes kind of with the last one of anticipation. Anticipate the open files, put your rooks there, okay? If you can activate your rooks well, then you will be a very strong player, because most players don't know how to activate their rooks. Mistake number 7 is ignoring outpost squares. Remember in like the first tip where we talked about don't create backwards pawns? Okay, well here's another one. Don't ignore your opponent's backward pawns, because that's where you can place a knight and it can be very effective. If your opponent has a backwards pawn and your pawn is defending the square in front of it, okay, you can place a knight there and it can be super effective, okay? Especially if your opponent doesn't have any knights, say like as a knight versus bishop, and then they have the wrong color bishop to attack that knight. Now that knight is so powerful, it's crazy. If you have an outpost knight on the 6th or 7th, 6, 7, yeah, sorry for that, okay? Knight on the 6th or 7th rank, it can be so powerful, okay? And often you can sacrifice like a couple pawns or something to have it there, because there it can fort kings and queens, help with attacks, and it's impossible to dislodge. That is so powerful. These strategic errors are subtle, but they are the reason you are losing to stronger players. Stop focusing just on hanging pieces and start focusing on long-term positional health. Now that you know the mistake, the homework is to review your last 5 losses and identify which one of these strategic errors cost you the game, because I bet you it's one of them. Let me know in the comments which of these strategic concepts is the hardest for you to master. Okay? Thanks for watching this video. I hope it helps you out, and I mean I don't want to self-glaze, but I have a bunch of good videos on my channel, so you can just head over there and I'm sure you'll find something interesting to watch. Have a good day.